All right, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the MSK Tech Sunday. And we have a guest today. Doesn't need to be introduced, but you all should know him. Chris Lang with Stripper Glitter.
Hello.
And of course, we have LO Spool J, Jasper Graham, our co host on the side over there, on the yellow sign there. And we're going to talk do's and don'ts and let's learn about traction compound. We're going to get started here, and I'm going to hand it off to Chris. And
Well, I'm pulling my thing up here so I can see comments. Oh, that's not right. That's not what I wanted.
Everybody start joining in just a second here. So how you doing, Jasper?
Good.
How's the weather over there?
Cold, horrible, snowy.
How's the car coming along?
South.
How's the car going?
Slow. We've got a customer's car in here that we're putting a field tech in. So we pushed mine out.
It's kind of messed up.
Welcome to the MSK.
I like making money more than I like spending it. And none of that is true.
There you go. Okay.
How cold is it down there, Brian?
It's about 10 degrees. Probably pretty close to what you got.
That's actually colder than us, I think.
Yeah, a lot.
It's cold here. I just got done washing my car and it was 23 degrees outside. It was fun.
All right. We're all good to go. So, maybe Chris, you can give us a little background on your company a little bit, you know, how it got started, and tell us a little about the people who aren't familiar with your...
Yep. Well, anyway, introduce myself. My name's Chris Lane. With D-Team Racing Stripper Glitter Traction Compound. We've been around for now, let's see, we just went our 3 years now. 3 years now in the business. As far as being an actual company, we've made our own prep for years, and we just we've never really done anything with it. We've just sold it at our own events that we do here in Ohio. And PRI 2019, we decided we were going to take a leap of faith, and we were going to try it and throw our hat in and see how well it was going to do. And actually, it's pretty funny. That's actually where we actually came up with the name for the company. We were actually in a strip club of all places. I mean, who else would think that name would have came from a strip club? We're like, what do we call this? Like, there's so many crazy names out there. I mean, every prep's got some weird name. And this girl walked by, and she was just covered in glitter. I mean, like head to toe covered in glitter. And the glitter was like falling off of her. That's how crazy as much glitter she had on her. And we were like, that's it. That's it. Stripper glitter. That's exactly what we need. That's what we're doing. No ifs, buts about it. I'm like, we're probably going to get all kinds of crazy, like, you know, we're referring to strippers and, you know, women be like, that's sexist, you know, whatever. But no, we actually haven't. It's been fun. It's been a wild ride for sure.
Everybody loves your logo and everything too.
Oh, dude,
I see it at events. It goes crazy.
It's nuts. Like, there's people out there buying merch that don't even know what the heck it even is. They're just buying it just because of the logo and the name of it. That's the biggest thing. And it's nuts. I get messages and pictures all the time from everywhere. People walking around wearing like hoodies and shirts and stuff like that. And it's crazy. Who would have ever thought that this would have transpired to what it is now? I would have never guessed it in a million years. But yeah, I've been in business 3 years.
Right.
I have right now, I'm 3 dealers away from being over 200 dealers in the United States, Canada, and Guam, and Sweden. So we continue to grow. as a company every single day. I get dealer requests every single day. It's would have never imagined that this would be like it is, but we pride ourselves to have a great product, and we try to deliver best we can to everybody, and we just hope for the best. That's all there is to it.
Sure, a lot of people have questions like, do you guys mix and make your own compound, or do you actually send it out to have somebody actually make it for you and bottle it for you?
So yes, so our stuff is made right here in Ohio. We make it all. Actually, only one person makes it all. I actually have him make it to where basically where the product is going. So everybody knows that different prep, different mixtures of prep work in different climates of the United States. We all know this. If you don't know this, then welcome to Prep 101. Certain chemicals get added, less chemicals get added. That's basically the run of it. So basically what I do is we go by day. I tell him how much I need, tell him where all the product's going, where this is going, and I make it specifically for that order. So Mike makes all the product, does it right in his house. I mean, you're getting something that's made for your location, for your climate, for right now.
How much of a difference in temperature does it make a difference at all in the way you guys put it together? Like 20-degree weather versus like 100-degree weather. Like, sorry about that. So from like now it's really cold out right now versus really hot in the summertime. Does the formula change for the time of year?
Yes, absolutely it does. Yeah, like I said, it varies, where the product is going. That's the biggest thing, because it could be, freaking 20 degrees up here and no snow and everybody's out trying to do race stuff. Or it could be 70, 80 degrees down in Florida, which we all know it's definitely not the case right now because it's about 30 degrees. So it's a big difference for the different mixture, where it's truly going. And when they're going to use it. That's the biggest thing also. So, yep, temps definitely change prep a lot. That's 100% the fact.
Well, it's interesting to know if people have if they have a big inventory and they had something from the summer and they're selling something for the summer, they should keep more quantities to keep the rotation going for the.
Yep. Yeah, no, like there's probably people out there that think that we have prep stashed away hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gallons in the warehouse. Well, that's not the case. Everything is made the day of everything that comes in on orders. So that's the biggest thing that sets us, I think, different from a lot of other companies out there, because there's a lot of companies out there that's probably got probably 100 gallons sitting around and they send it out to wherever it's going and that's it, and that's the last you hear of it. So
makes sense for some of what I see from other competitors out there. It seems to be going the track and fighting in the different climates and everything else. I just wonder if they go the extra mile and do. I don't know.
I can barely hear you. You're like kind of breaking up a little bit.
Does that sound a little better?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I was saying, I've seen a lot of your competitors out there, and a lot of them I see them depending on where they are and weather and all that stuff, but they spin the tires a lot more and just don't cook as good. And I see you go the extra mile and really do it for the region and for the temperatures, and you go the extra mile, and that really explains why you guys are on the top, in my opinion, compared to others.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of it, and you know what? I'm going to tell you, probably 80% of that is user error at the end of the day, because there's a lot of people that just they watch people online and think it's easy to do, but I mean there's a process to it, and if you're like out on the street or something, I mean there's not a lot of time for error. At that point, there's a lot of people rushing around. You probably got like 5 or 6 people trying to freaking help you, and people forget things. I think somebody else has done this and that. I mean, it's a process, and I'm sure Jasper can relate to this. I mean, there's there's just a lot of error. You see a lot of like mistakes in like videos of racing, like when people are live and stuff. You just
a lot of people don't get their tires hot enough and they drag it all the way up there and make a gooey spot. Some people burn it right out. Some people pour too much. We had a 4-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive or whatever pull in, and that was a mess because of they were putting their back tires in the burnout box and then pouring for their fronts too.
Yep.
It was like way up there ahead of the burnout box.
That's crazy. I would have never imagined that.
We've seen it all. Brian was actually at our house when we thought we were possibly going to like break the internet for our world or small tire no prep racing, because we took a bunch of I think it's incandescent fluid that like glows under like a CSI flashlight, and we mixed it in with our prep thinking we might be able to leave tracks that glowed to the flashlight, but it ended up when it got hot it just burned it off, so it didn't end up working. But
we experimented with something like that there at the end of last year, and it didn't. We're still working on it. We're still tweaking it. We're on to something. We're on to something with that. So hopefully we'll see what happens.
that'd be cool.
It would be actually nice to be able to see the.
Did somebody just asked if different bottles are labeled for different types of temp? No, they're not labeled differently. It's just the way, kind of have an idea of like when you're going to use it. If you're buying it in the middle of winter, like say you're in like the northern states, like obviously it's we're not going to make it for the cold temp. It's going to be obviously for when the weather's a lot better. At the end of the day.
I got you. So I know we have some videos, and maybe we can do a little one-on-one, and we can do some kind of Q&A afterwards a little bit. Maybe we can kind of get into your presentation a little bit, and
yeah, go for it.
Maybe we can help go and educate others so we all can learn. I mean, we all hear from other people. We hear from our own experiences. I think it'd be great to learn from the company who does it best. And you guys obviously have tested for so many years, so I think we have a lot to learn. All of us do from you itself.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the biggest thing about like this, like, whatever we get, we get some, get some advertisement out of the business. But at the end of the day is there's a lot of people that don't truly know like how to properly do the process. And like, I hope that this live feed will like be able to like help people. That's the biggest thing we care about. Like we care about people. If you're not doing it right, it's not going to work. And you're going to be like, oh, this product sucks. I need to go get another product. Well, no, it's probably because you at some point did something wrong and created the error yourself.
So what are you recommending for like a burnout? Like, are you wanting high RPM, shift into second, get a lot of tire speed, short, long, drag it out?
So the first thing I'm going to go off of is it depends on the surface itself. So before you even pour your puddle out, you need to go up and check to see how curved or which side of the road is banked more. Because we all know the roads are sloped. Mostly all roads are sloped to the right, just for rainfall and snow and all that other stuff like that to come off the road, during rain and stuff. Say you're in the left lane, left lane's going to be concave of left. But you could also have a uneven side of the road on the right side part of the left lane. And when you pour your puddle out, all your prep could run off into that hole and not be under your tires anymore if you have to sit there and wait for somebody to do a burnout. So kind of get an idea of like how long it's going to take for them to do their burnout, what process they do. Say the right lane of the left lane is sloped a little bit because of, indentations in the road or whatever like that. You need to go and pour your left lane first, then come over and pour the right tire. Just so that the prep will stay under your tire instead of running out. Because I see a lot of people like they'll pour it out like instantly, and then they're sitting there waiting a minute and a half on the other car to finally pull up and do a burnout. Well, usually by that time, depending on the surface of your, where you're at, there's barely any prep under your tire. So you'll go do a burnout, and you'll do basically a half-ass burnout, and you won't get the tire hot enough to help you, and then you're going to spin at the end of the day. And the way that I tell people is when they pour, and some of these videos, and I'll show you in some of these videos of how we properly do it. We usually tell people to pour at least a good act like you're literally pouring the length of the tire in front of the tire. There's a lot of people that pour from the back. There's a lot of people pour from the front. There's no advantage to that. I mean, I think it's just preference in the day. Nice square. And the length of the tire, the width of the tire. Make sure all that tire is when you pull your buddy in, make sure that tire is completely in the puddle. If it is not, and say half the tire is on the normal asphalt, it's not going to do a good burnout. It's going to grip and it's going to shoot you forward.
You want me to play any of those videos at all?
Yeah, you can pull one here in a second after I get done explaining. And we tell people the same thing. Not lots of wheel speed. Make it hot. Make it hot. Like, I mean, I can't stress that enough. There's a lot of people that don't do a very hot burnout, and there's very little smoke that comes out of their burnout. And I mean, it just doesn't. If you're going to do it right, do it right. At the end of the day, make your burnout count, because usually there's only one burnout at most of these races. So if you're going to do it right. And we tell people, when they do a nice burnout, don't drag it out. Don't do a John Force burnout. That it's not going to benefit you at all. You see a lot of these, cars, like say like on a track, like there's a lot of these guys that go out and do half mile freaking burnouts, 1/8 mile burnouts. There's no need for that. You don't need to burn out that far at the end of the day, because you're just going to drag it out, and it's just not going to benefit you. It's at the end of the day. Does that answer your question, Jasper?
Yeah, that was perfect. Perfect. Which I imagine helps a lot of people. I see a lot of people do it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I see a lot of people try to
watching...
John Force burnouts in like 100-degree weather and stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't work. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool because people be like, "Oh my god, you had a burnout." Nope, not gonna help you, bud. Sorry. And it's just gonna make it greasy, and you're not gonna have a good time.
And you burn more rubber off the tires too. So hey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you go out and say you do a big old burnout. Well, guess what? Everything that's down that part of where you're at is going to be on your tires. And if you don't got your buddies back there, scraping off your tires with gloves, getting all those rocks and dirt and stuff like that off there, you're hurting yourself at the end of the day. So.
I know you sent me a video of asphalt one and how to do a pour.
Do what? You faded in and out again.
You have a video from me showing you how to do a pour properly.
Yes.
The video before that, the video 0. You want me to play those?
Yep. I believe that's the next one you're going to play there. Yeah, so that was Tommy out when we were out in Mexico in December. That was just a nice hit on a very streets kind of fast, but I mean it's still a street at the end of the day, and tried people driving up and down it every day, and that was just one hit first off the trailer. So
do you find a big difference between asphalt and concrete?
Huge difference. There's a huge difference between it. I mean,
in how you should pour it and burn out too?
No, not really. I mean, at the end of it's really not going to matter, how you do it. Obviously, we all know that concrete is the best surface you're probably going to be on. Other than there's some guys on asphalt that are going almost as fast as people on concrete.
If the asphalt's extremely smooth, I believe yes. Like if the asphalt is like really fresh and not very porous or anything, I think it can it can be really fast. Like Victor's house is really fast.
Yep. Yeah, it can definitely be fast. I mean, unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot of, good concrete, around, few and far between, other than, if you start going out Midwest and stuff like that. And
industrial drives.
Yeah, you get on those industrial drives that, freaking guys will be going out there and cracking low 5s, high 4s off of. I mean, it's just, around our area, it's definitely not, because we definitely don't have anything like that.
Nope.
Here's the other video. I think it's very educational. It's how to do a proper pour.
Yep. So that's one of the co-owner's cars, and that was the other co-owner that was pouring the puddle. So literally, he did exactly like he does. He pours it out. He actually poured it out a little bit further ahead of the tire, as you've seen. Bill does that also from Street Racing Channel for Billy and Tommy. And what that does is it helps drag it out a little bit further than what a normal just pouring it out in a nice square would do. He did roll a little bit further than what we would have liked as far as a burnout. He probably should have stopped, had the rear tires right where that concrete where the tree ends. But we were just doing some shakedown passes of that car. That's the first passes that car's made all year. So he was learning, but as far as doing a burnout, that's what your burnout needs to look like at the end of the day.
I had a question too. Is I see that when it comes to burnouts and the color of the cloud kind of changes a little bit. Does that mean like a point where you might go too far doing a burnout and getting too hot at all or anything?
As far as what again?
Like you can tell by the tent a little bit. When you're doing your burnout, when you're sitting there doing your burnout as you start to pull out.
That just basically is it's just how much rubber you're putting down. That's going to be the difference of what it looks. I mean, obviously you're going to be putting a lot more rubber down right where you started the burnout at. As you start getting farther out, you're going to be putting less rubber down because there's no friction there because you're kind of just rolling out, just further past of where you were putting power at.
You get a little more smoke out of newer tires too.
Yes, absolutely.
The more passes you get on them, the less they start smoking. So sometimes that can be deceiving also as into what might have been the cause of smoke issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing. Like, there's no reason you should be out there running on, old tires, if you're going to try to compete at this caliber of level. And that's just maintenance. That's just maintenance things at the end of the day. If you're going to go out and you're going to try to win some of these races, couple $1,000, if you ain't going to sacrifice, unfortunately, our tire prices are absolutely through the freaking roof right now. But, say last year, if you ain't going to sacrifice $400 or $500 for a set of tires to win $4 or $5 grand, then what's the point?
I see someone ask, do you make like a snow blend for like snow and ice?
Yes. I mean, to run on snow and ice? Oh gosh, get out of here!
I'm trying to sell it to them too. Like anything they want, I'd tell them right now. Yeah, this shit, it melts it right away.
Yeah, it probably does. What's funny is like
the new kitty litter.
Our stuff works really well in the cold temperatures. And a lot of people don't know that because there's probably a lot of people that don't ever race in like 30 or 20 degree, ambient temperature, out in the streets and stuff. It really works well in the cold for some odd reason, but it's just a science to that. How many tires will a tire last? Well, it depends on how hard, number one, you're doing burnouts is the biggest thing. How many passes?
There's a lot of factors. How much weight's in the rear? How heavy is the car? How fast are you 60 footing? And really what why we're changing them so much is because we're wearing out the sidewall, not that we're actually wearing out the rubber on the top of it. It's just that the sidewall gets too weak and it won't hold anymore and you start slowing down. So like I would say that your amount of passes on a tire are solely based off like he said, how if you're doing monster burnouts every time, you're going to wear them out quick, depending on how hot you get them, how heavy the car is, how much weight you got in the rear, how much weight you got in your axle. All these are different. If you have no weight on the axle and in the trunk, that's easier on them, I think, than having it on the axle. But I like putting it on the axle. So
Let me show you guys a video here. I think is a good comparison between two different types of burnouts. I have one with a schoolboy in here. You see the person.
happy
crying.
birthday, schoolboy.
Oh yeah, happy
Yeah.
birthday, buddy.
There you go. Happy birthday to him. So Brian White's in the right lane and Schoolboy's in the left. You'll see the burnouts that they both do. So there you can see a difference. You know, Schoolboy uses stripper glitter. And he didn't do much to burn out at all, and he hooked.
Yep. That's exactly, if you watch Tommy and Billy, they're the same way. That's exactly the same way. They do a nice burnout, in the area where they launch at, and that's it. They cut it off and don't let it roll any further than that.
I think that's very educational, help a lot of people.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's
totally the wrong way.
When I tell people, like, there's a lot of people that'll message us and ask us like how to properly do stuff, how to do this, and end of the day, I end up going and telling them to go over to either Bill's channel, the Old Man's Garage, or go on the Street Racing channel and kind of watch what Bill does. And Bill, I mean, it's hard to ask Bill a question, and these days because he's so YouTube famous now. Just kidding. And just watch him. Just watch what he does, and you see, like, there's a reason like those guys do very well is because they do everything the way that it properly should be. Everybody's got their different techniques, but at the end of the day, like, that's a good prime example of a starting point of how you should properly do a burnout, how well you should, back somebody up where you need to back somebody up. And he's the same way with the surfaces too. Like they're always questioning about how the surfaces is, before first round starts. And he kind of gives you an idea of, how, like it goes back to me saying how, even sloped, a certain lane is on a track or on a street, how you should pour and stuff like that.
I saw someone asked what air pressure I run. Dave did. I've messed around with it some. I like to have 3 wrinkles in the tire, if that makes sense, because we're switching weight in the back of the car, going from one place to the other, or maybe even throughout the day. The tire pressure changes some, but I try to have about 3 wrinkles in there and not be heavy lined on the 2 outsides of where the tire's leaving a footprint. I've been as low as 9. I hated it. In the Mini, we run what, 6?
No, like
7. So in the Mini Cooper, we run like somewhere between 6, 7, or 8. And it looks absolutely crazy, but it works on that car. But that car is probably about, 2,000 pounds? 2,000 pounds. And it's front-wheel drive, so it's all different. But I don't know. We've been as low as 9. I'll never go back to that again. A lot of times, like if we were at War in the Woods or on a Dega, I'm starting at probably 13 or 12 and then bumping up to possibly as high as 14 or 15 as it comes around. If we're at the back of the track or like Muncie or Milan, I probably start out around 10, 11, and we end up maybe at 12, 13. It just all depends, too, at how much weight I'm running. This year will be a little different because the car is 600 pounds lighter than we were before. But we're also putting weight on the axle this time where we weren't doing that before. So there's a few factors to it. But, yeah, it's mainly like what I pay most attention to is I want about 3 wrinkles in the sidewall. I don't want 40 and I don't want none. And then I want the pattern it's leaving on the track to not be heavy, darker at the outsides, like where it's leaving almost 2 lines. I want it to try to be kind of centered, but that isn't always the case. Not that like other setups don't work or whatever. This is all dependent on like how hard you're getting after it too. Like same with how quick you beat them up. If you're running 114 60 foots compared to 130s, you're obviously shocking that sidewall a lot harder going faster than you are if you're not. And then same for if you do a John Force burnout or a short one, tires are probably lasting a little longer if you're not doing all that. So it's kind of a balance act.
Yep, that makes it. You made an excellent point on that. Like it depends on the weight of the car at the end of the day. Say for instance, Mike's Camaro, his tire pressure is usually around 15 to 17, and Liser's Mustang that you just seen the video of, we started at like 21 with that, and just kind of started just working our way down. I think we got all the way down to like 13 by the time we made about probably like 10 passes. So the weight of the car is a big thing as far as your tire pressure, like Jasper said, and you just have to test. You just got to, at the end of the day, you got to know your conditions of what you're racing on, and and use that vice that you're going off of, and wherever you're racing, take that in consideration of where you're at, and you'll go rounds. If you don't do that, then you're not helping yourself. If you ain't out there testing and getting your shit straight, knowing what tire pressure your car will leave on, at the end of the day, you're not going to do good. And that's how there is to it.
Brian, just real quick, I see Cleveland Injector Hospitals on here. They might be a cool guest if they're interested.
That's my boy surgeon.
Inform everyone on how bad it is leaving meth in them and different things like that, and how bad locked up injectors there are. Might be a good idea.
He's a local injector company up here in Ohio. He's out of Cleveland. Shout out to Surgeon. He's a good dude. Definitely does everybody all the fast guys injectors around here. So
very cool. So we talked about pouring the right puddle, how to make it. We talked about some different surfaces. Even like on back of the track, does it make a difference at all? First, we talked about the asphalt, the street, and the concrete. What about where it's kind of like really rocky and there's a lot of grooves in the puddle? I mean, the prep just kind of falls in, not as much on the surface because of the rocks there and everything, if that makes sense. Like at Dig or Die, for example.
Yeah, I mean, that's, on a surface like Dig or Die, the prep's going to, well, the thing is, though, now with Dig or Die, they have concrete pads now that you do burnouts on instead of the asphalt because, earlier in the year, they were starting to groove the asphalt down, and they were starting to put indentations in the asphalt. Shut down where the end over or one of those and get set. That's not good. So now there's concrete pads there, so the prep pretty much stays there. But like before, yes. On a surface like Dig or Die, Rockingham, the prep would, if you let it sit there long enough, it's just going to soak into the road. And it depends on the surface of the asphalt. So if you're on a very cracked road, you pour it out, it's gonna seep away at some point. And that goes back to me, if you pour your puddle out and you're sitting there waiting a minute and a half, 2 minutes on the other guy to finally pull up, finally do his burnout and all that stuff like that. That goes back to, waiting to do that, because if you don't, you're just not going to be prep left and you're going to try to do a burnout and it's not going to go good for you.
I got you. Here's a little short video clip of one of the back of the track videos that you sent in.
Yeah,
that was a version hit, right?
That is a virgin hit. That was the first hit that has made. And that's actually at our track. That's the back end of our track, which is not meant to go back end racing. We're actually testing for dig or die because the surface is very similar to what dig or die is. And he parked in the mud and obviously drove up in the mud because you've seen all the dirt kick off the tire when the freaking car left, and it still made a pass, which is remarkable. But
Speaking of that, I got to put this picture up on there because it's hilarious. So this is so funny. That shows you how good this product is. If two bottles can just stick together, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Thanks. Shout out to FedEx for doing that because they're the result of that. But yeah, one of our dealers got that in on Saturday morning and sent that to me. And, each bottle of that weighs 8 pounds, so there's another bottle holding on to 8 pounds of another bottle, and it's sticking to it. So I mean, I would have never thought that in a million years, but it's kind of funny.
That is actually a good product. For sure.
It sucks, yes, but it made for a cool picture at the end of the day.
Oh, that's all.
I was going to say, we already answered that comment. It makes if you're not using it for anything else, it'll make a mess. I promise you that. Trust me.
That's for sure. So now you showed me some like some of the fastest passes that have been done. I think Brian did using your compound as well too. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Brian's ran it a lot. He's actually one of our dealers as well up in Michigan, and he's done some crazy stuff on the street. He did some crazy street stuff last year with his other car that he sold, and now he's running his blue car, and he's been out making some good hits with it.
Here's a clip of it here.
So that's Brian. That was actually at our track as well. That's the front side of our track that we do a no prep every year. And normally there's a lot of rubber down on that because we've never have scraped past 60 foot. Well, most of it is most of that starting line up to past the trees concrete. So we actually scraped it all the way up past the concrete up to where it goes to asphalt because that used to be an old airstrip. And that was second round with, I believe there was almost 30 cars racing on that. So 30 cars plus 3 other classes went down that, and he made his fastest pass he's ever made, which is probably one of the fastest passes a small tire car has made on that track. But a lot of that has to do with scraping. If you scrape, it's going to make where you're going faster. That's another thing you need to consider as well. Depending on how much rubber's down. Stripper girl likes rubber, so if you go to a spot where a lot of rubber's down, you shouldn't have any issues. Does well on virgin too, which is the funny part. A little bit of rubber down, from your burnout when you go out, you should have no problems. What did he say? Yes, 100%. You should douse yourself in stripper glitter. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to tell you to do that, but thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. Robert's one of our dealers down in North Carolina. He's Pennywise Racing, if you don't know who he is. He does all the live feeds for Dig or Die, for Corey Stamper's race down in Darlington, and does his own no prep races. So
I'd say that too. That's a huge part of why your company did so well is you're at the tracks all the time and you talk to a ton of us and become friends with a lot of us. That's probably another huge part of you guys and what you do.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we usually hit almost every event. If and most of it we're always racing in too.
And throwing events and
like a lot of the guys like like James and Mike, they didn't. Mike only ran Mike ran the most he's ever ran that car last year. And so that was good to get him out. Liza's still working on some bugs. He just pulled the motor of his car. So hopefully this year, he'll be able to get out a little bit more and do some more racing and stuff. But yeah, like a lot of people don't know that we do our own events here in Ohio. We do a backtrack event and we do a front side, both no prep. One is a semi-version backtrack, and then obviously the other track is a front side with a lot of rubber, quite a bit of rubber down, but the surface is absolute garbage after that. So, we try to promote everything with that. And, we just do the events just because it's fun. We've been doing events for it's been 6 years now, even before we even started the company, we did events. And we just want to see people racing. That's the biggest thing. And we watch people do good and just be happy. Racing, is it could be a great sport, but it also could be a very depressing sport, especially if your shit's not working very well. And there could be multiple factors in that. And we've, discussed a lot of that, this evening, is why, your stuff, there's a particular reason why your car might not be working on this or working on that. And that's why, we want to help. We want to help people do better. And, that's the goal, behind of making stripper glitter is we're hopefully adding something to help that person out if there's something missing from their program. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. That's our biggest commitment. Who cares about anything else? I could sell nothing at this point. If you could just give somebody a piece of advice and be like, here, try it. It could help you. It could not help you. We know everybody's stuff works on different types of surfaces, different types of what they're using, water, different types of prep in the day. So that's our ultimate goal about everything. And like you said, we try to get out to all the races we can. Most all of them in Ohio we do. I'm always out and around because I just like doing that stuff. I mean, I like traveling. I like going out and meeting new people. I go down Dig or Die every year. Almost all the races here in Ohio. I flag most of the races all over in Ohio because usually I'm always there anyway. But it's just a good time. Just a good group to be around. Indiana, Kentucky. You guys in Michigan, and the guys are in Pennsylvania. There's a solid group of people that's involved in this, and it's just crazy how many people I've met just because of everything. And I wouldn't trade that for the world.
It's awesome to see you traveling so much farther and going places now too.
Yeah. I've been kind of getting out of our comfort zone a little bit, and I've been going. I'm actually now. Corey Stamper was talking to me a lot when I was in the hospital, and he invited me to come down to his race down at Darlington in February, and I think I'm gonna go down and hang out. And never been to somewhere like that, so I was like, hey, I'll just take a trip in February, go down and hang out with him and watch some racing and stuff, and just see how truly poor that surface really is, because there's all kinds of hype that place is worse than Rockingham, and I don't know if that's that place might be Rockingham, because Rockingham's pretty bad.
So how do you feel about stripper poles that are not attached to the ceiling?
I've heard all about that. Actually, it's funny is there's another strip club in Indy that's like that. It's called the Classy Chassis. It's like right off the freaking highway. It's right beside a truck stop.
Classy Chassis.
The Classy Chassis.
Dude, that's not far. We should be loading up right now.
It's a good time. I'm telling you what, when you go to PRI, a lot of people go to strip clubs, the Brass Flamingo is one of them. Dancers, and then usually dancers is packed. You go to Classy, and we always go to the Classy Chassis, which is not as always busy, but there's still a lot, to go around. And that is another place where the poles. Some of the poles do not attach to the ceiling. So
it's crazy. Watch them. Boom. But anyways, enough of that.
Any new costumes for this year?
Any new costumes?
Dude.
No, not yet. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know if Chrissy's going to make a return this year or not, but she might. We'll see. Who knows?
So I had Yeah, I didn't mind to switch gears a little bit. I know you had a few videos on for streets when it comes to the prep, and I think you had Mr. Miller who had a pass on the street. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Who was that? I'm sorry.
This video. So your
Yep.
prep works really well on the street. Is all I got to say.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. No, that was he just came from a track event where the car just wouldn't do anything. He was having a terrible day. Like they had just put that motor together. I believe they went quite a big inches from what he went last year. Couldn't get the car to make it on the surface at all. And came home, made a test hit on the street, and that was his first test hit, and it did that. And he was like, why did this not work at the track? Which there's a lot of variables to that because the track was pretty good, for what time of the year it was. So that's your ultimate, go down a virgin road and make one hit and the car goes straight down like nobody's business.
Any new shirts, sweaters, hats, new stuff coming out this year?
Yeah, so I just released a new line last week. New shirts and new hoodies with two different designs. One's got a 4th gen Camaro on it. And it's got some imitation of glitter on it, which is very cool because mostly everybody knows that our product does have glitter in it. And the other one is from when Raggedy Ann, CJ Buckner did a wheelie at our first event last year at our backtrack event. And it's just a funny make wheelies great again on it.
That was the wrong one, I think, actually.
Yeah, it was the wrong one.
I gotta say something real quick. So
I'll find the right one here for you.
we were at that event at 42. I think it was one of the first back of the tracks we brought Everett's car to.
Yep.
And Everett lost $1,000 on that race, so it'll be really nice to wear that sweater all the time and mess with them. So that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was cool. I never in a million years would have expected a car on that surface with as very little rubber as there was that it would have done something like that. But it was definitely pretty freaking cool. And you can see he's doing that wheelie, but he's right beside the car that he's racing. So it's crazy. Never would have expected that.
No, not at all.
He did something similar this past Dig or Die too. He was out on that same street that actually Tommy raced on in that video that you showed the first time, and the car was doing it did exactly the same thing as that picture did. It was pretty wild.
Crazy. Here's a couple of pictures on the street too.
Was that Mark?
Yeah, it's Mark Moher doing a wheelie too. The tires were sticky.
Crazy dude.
Yeah, I'll tell you, here's another one here.
I watched that live and I was like, holy shit, that Camaro just freaking sent it on a street. But I'm sure that street's probably pretty good, I would imagine, isn't it, Jasper?
I think we lost Jasper out to come back in, I think.
Well, yeah, looks like
he's
he's
Yeah, it was
frozen.
really fast. I've been muting a ton because Brian was muting me because there's 1,000 people here as always. So every time I'm not talking, I'm just muting it to be safe.
Right. No, you're all good.
Then I forgot and started talking. But yeah, it's a Pontiac, and that place is crazy. It's definitely the fastest street in Michigan. Off the wall fast.
I believe it. Yeah, I don't know whose live feed I was watching that night, and I watched that car do. I was like, holy crap, that was crazy. And then you're the one who actually sent that to me the next day. You were like, hey, that's Mark. He was using your stuff on the street when he's doing that big wheelie. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was rad because I was literally watching it live, and I was like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's such a wild place too, an atmosphere. You're at a stoplight. They're blocking traffic everywhere. It's super sketchy. It's why I try to never end up there. I'm not a huge fan of the setup, but the road's fast.
Oh, I'm sure. I miss street racing so much. Hopefully this year we can actually get some stuff going here where we are, and it won't be dead like last year. I don't think there was any street racing at all in our area, and I miss there. It's cool to flag at a track event, but there's just something about flagging on the street. I live for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
The adrenaline rush.
Stuff.
The adrenaline rush is the biggest thing. That's the only thing I could say, and I want to do more of that. Just saying.
Absolutely. I think it'll be a good year this year.
I hope so.
Agree with you on that one.
So,
does anybody have any questions at all for Chris about how to use the compound or anything at all relating to the traction compound and stripper glitter? I think he's done a pretty good job of kind of explaining everything, showing some sample videos and stuff. Be sure we'd love to hear from everybody if anybody has any questions for him at all.
Just to help people out, what do you got for shelf life on that?
there is no shelf life.
That's kind of what I figured, but
There is no shelf life. You can even go as far as freezing the stuff, and it still won't do anything. Take for instance is like, so let's see. This was 2 years ago. I was hanging out with Billy, and I looked in the bed of his truck, and there's 6 gallons in the bed of his truck. Mind you, this is in the dead of winter. His bed's fully frozen of snow and ice, and and all the bottles are like frozen in the bed. And I'm like, what in the hell are you doing, dude? Like, I'm like, why are your bottles all frozen? And what's funny is like he, shaked it up, and I think like the next month they went down south somewhere and they used one of those bottles, and it worked perfectly fine, just like we just poured it out of the freaking, is like we just made it. So yeah, it doesn't. There's no shelf life. You can freeze it. It ain't gonna hurt it. There might be a thing about freezing it that might help you things, but maybe they're not. Don't know. It depends. Some people say they froze it before and it works better. So
Gotta do your testing.
do your testing. It might work. It might not. I can't tell you if it works or not because we've never tried it. But
Definitely interesting.
Yep.
So what when it starts getting really, really hot outside, getting near the hundreds and the concrete's extremely hot, does it make a difference at all? Do you heat it up a little bit more, or just keep those short burnouts regardless?
You keep the short burnouts. I wouldn't go too aggressive on a burnout, because if you start doing that, and also it makes a big difference between like what everybody's using. If you start mixing different preps up, it becomes a freaking gooey mess. And that's a lot of people, will go and burn most of the stuff off, if there's a ton of stuff around. And there's a lot of people that don't do that, which I feel like they should, just because it only hurts more than it helps. But yeah, on like a very hot day, 90-degree day, if you go too hot, it's the heat's just gonna be greasy, and it's just not gonna help you at all. So,
Nope.
Nice subtle burnout. You have to sit there like I said before, don't do a John Force burnout. Sit there and do a burnout for freaking 20 seconds. There's no need for that. And you shouldn't be doing that anyway, especially if you want your tires to last.
Now, what about doing like having different stuff prepped down or water and then putting stripper glitter down and kind of getting mixed a little bit? Does that matter at all?
You
Make a difference?
You cannot mix water with any type of prep. You cannot do that. That is dangerous. It's crazy that people doesn't understand that water. If take for instance, just if you have a bottle of prep laying around, take water, pour your prep out, or basically pour your water out, and then pour the prep out, and then watch what happens when the prep hits the water. And it'll just sit on top of the water, and it'll kind of just fade out and like go out of the sides. That is extremely dangerous. And, there's multiple times I've caught people, using water at freaking no prep, pour your own prep events. And you shouldn't be doing that at the end of the day. And, at our events, we told people like, hey, if we catch you using water, you're out, done, just queued, you're done. Just because it's a safety risk at the end of the day. I mean, you follow the rules at the end of the day. Just because you want to cheap out and use use water and you can't afford a bottle of prep, like there's no excuse for that.
I agree.
I mean,
That'll be education for somebody to learn in case they didn't know.
Yeah. It's funny is like you can tell like on starting, or you can tell in a burnout box when somebody's used water and then they'll go use prep, because you'll watch the prep just sit right on top of the water and it'll just kind of it'll just do like that away from the water. Just how the chemical reaction works when it hits water. It's kind of like oil. If you put oil in water, you watch the oil just sit on top of the water. And it'll never like sink in.
I've been to many street races, and I've heard where they've announced where you can only use like LC7 and stripper glitter, but not to use skinnies with those other two because it makes it greasy or something like that, is what I've heard from people.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, if you start, like I said, if you start pouring different preps out and start mixing different preps together, it ain't gonna help anything. I mean, it's gonna make it a gooey mess, especially in the heat, and especially in the sun. Like if you have sun beating down on it, it just makes it very greasy, and it makes it sometimes hard to do a really good burnout too. Yes, I have. We actually, it's funny is, we used to use Orange Crush.
Oh, really?
Back like in the day, yeah, like when we used to go out and do street racing and stuff. Like, I mean, this is probably like 10 or 15 years ago. We just go get we get a 2 liter of Orange Crush and just go out and just do dig racing on the street. So yeah, soda, I guess, definitely works. I mean, that's what we used back in the day. So, but also, the caliber of cars back in the day is completely different than what the caliber of cars we have today.
Yeah,
I mean,
that wouldn't work.
There's a huge difference between how fast cars were going 10 or 15 years ago to what they're going now.
What, 9s and 10s probably back then, and
oh shit, it's probably slower than that. I mean, it's crazy, like just how far we've came.
How much stickiness we need.
How much in 5 years, how fast some of these cars, have gone down some of these surfaces, and we're like, how in the hell does that even work? I don't know how well pop reacts to prep. I've never experienced. I've never tried it, I guess, because I don't ever see anybody using pop anymore.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. You don't see that shit anymore. I mean, yeah, you saw that like a long time ago, but there was a lot of people that weren't using. There was a lot of prep companies that weren't out there. That time of the year, 15 years ago. So, yeah, I don't know. I would assume that.
I would imagine the water in the prep would push things out for whatever amount of water is in the soda.
Yeah, it would probably do the exact same thing if you were just using water, because I mean, there's at the end of the day, there's still water in it, so it's probably going to react the same way as if you were just pouring prep right into water. I agree with that. Yeah,
just guys still do that in the area. Wow,
it's crazy.
That's Battle Creek. They do that.
Wow. Seriously? Wow.
I swear.
Okay.
Everybody else shit. Everybody will take, and that's the other thing. Like all the time, there's a lot of times, more than you can imagine. I watch people try to pour puddles out, and they pour like a half-ass puddle out. Like I said before, not getting the tire completely in a puddle. What they poured out, and there's a lot of guys they'll skimp out on it. I mean, if you're going to skimp out on winning, there's some of these guys out here throwing $1,000 buy-ins to win a race. You can win $10,000 to $20,000, and you're going to skimp out on a $50 bottle of prep. Like that makes no sense to me. Like, why would you do that? It's $50. It's as much as if you're putting fuel in your car. You agree with me on that, Jasper? Maybe.
Muted on his side.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah. So, what are some more common questions that you get asked from like distributors or people that maybe you like to give an answer to? I'm sure you get all kinds of different questions, but something's common, maybe.
Well, the biggest thing is like how to properly use the product. That's the biggest thing, and that's what we've kind of gone over here tonight. I've been getting an influx of circle track racers. that are reusing their tires basically, because apparently, I don't know like what circle track tires are right now compared to like what our slicks are right now, which is insane. I'm sure they're probably in the same boat as we are. And a lot of guys are trying to reuse their tires for another season, or if not half the season before they have to go buy new. And there's a lot of guys asking us if they can like soak their tires, to basically make them soft again and get like, one race out of them. And there's quite a bit of guys that do that. And I mean, I think that's also a rule that you can't do stuff like that too. So I don't know I don't know anything about circle track or dirt track racing to save my life. So I can't tell you.
I grew up circle track racing, so that's where I learned from.
Yeah, I have no freaking clue, and I don't really. I mean, it's just not my thing.
I can see it helping.
Yeah,
like it gets pretty slick, and it's like ice when the clay once it gets going and the track's broken already. So
yeah,
makes
for
sense.
sure. Yeah, so and
your stuff works on dirt,
right? And you would think that if you went and did that, any normal person would be like, "Oh, why all that dirt would just stick to the tire?" Well, no, if it soaks in the tire and makes it soft again, then no, that wouldn't be the case. Because of how sticky this stuff is. But once it soaks in the tire and starts to loosen that rubber up, it's like that's how this works now at the end of the time. Because it basically breaks down the rubber and puts the rubber down where you're going to be racing and gives you traction.
You brought a good point, because I see sometimes people soak their tires in something, before events, trying to make them grab a little better, than supposed to.
That stripper glare brake clean.
That's the can. I'm sure people want to know if where they can get that can at, but anyways.
Oh my god, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Friggin' Mork messaged me like the next day, and he goes, I'm creating a shit storm. I said, oh boy.
Yeah, he did. That was funny.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because like I tried. I think I got bored one night and I was just reading rules for stuff like that, and I see that no altering of tires, and I would assume that soaking your tires would also inquire in altering your tires. So yeah, there's
a no everywhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, there was a lot. That was funny. Was like I had like a string of like 10 people one day that all messaged me and asked me this question. I was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Are you guys all talking to each other and talking about this?" Because it's just no coincidence that you all messaged me. So,
what other kind of questions are strange off the wall things you get asked? What do you think of?
I'm trying to think the weirdest thing we've ever got asked about it. No, the only thing that we get weird asked is if we actually deal strippers out.
Why have you not had strippers at an event?
Yeah, okay, so Andy just brought up a good topic. The real question is, how come we haven't had strippers at an event?
We have.
Why are they not in the booth?
With a pole that's not hooked to a ceiling. It's like my two favorite things.
Hint.
Well, we like to have a very family function events. You can't. Like, we had a track guy that was wanting to do a wet T-shirt contest at his track last year, and I was like, he's like, I just want to get a bunch of girls do a wet T-shirt contest and wear stripper glitter white shirts walking around. I'm like, okay, but like, what if a mom sees that and I don't know.
Tell her it's Miley Cyrus.
That's true. I could do that. It'd be fun. We actually thought about making a stripper pole on the back of our Escalade into our trailer hitch. And I think that would be a huge hit. And just have a bunch of girls just take turns going up there and just dancing on a pole.
Oh, boy.
Nick Schoolboy just asked me if it works for RC cars.
That is a good question.
Yeah, so actually, that's funny is you based on that, because that's probably the second biggest question to get asked all the time. Does it work on RC cars? Yes, it does work on RC cars. And it depends, because some of these guys will either do a puddle burnout, or there's guys that will do dry burnouts, and they'll burn out in carpet. And what we found out is we only sell in one size. There's a lot of guys that don't want to buy a full gallon to use on RC cars. What guys are doing is they're taking the carpet of where they do their burnout, and they're basically they're pouring it into the carpet, and then they're doing their burnout in the carpet with stripper glitter in the carpet, and then they'll go out and they'll make their hill on their RC tracks or wherever they're racing. There's been guys it's been prepping the surfaces with stripper glitter too. They'll go out and they'll spray, where they're racing at.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I was just curious if they slide around more, if they actually grip more. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I have only known a few people that's used it as far as doing the carpet technique, and they say it works out good. And there's a lot of people they'll prep the track that they're racing on, and then do a dry burnout in the carpet, and then get the tires hot.
Definitely a hot subject nowadays.
Yeah. RC racing is huge over here. They have 3 groups that they run. They almost run every weekend.
They did one by us, staying down Indiana border. They have a warehouse where they do it at every weekend. There's always a race going on.
That's probably where that picture I have it looks like it almost looks like an Amazon floor. Almost looks like Kentucky drag, or almost looks like Happy's race.
Yeah, I think that's probably the picture you probably saw that came up today.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yes, you can use RC stuff. Like I said, the way they use it is either they spray the track, prep the track basically, or they pour it into the carpets of where they're doing the burnouts at. Because there's a lot of guys they'll try to do a burnout like on the surface that they're using, but the problem is you can't get the surface damp with anything. So a lot of people they'll go and use carpet, and then they'll pour it into the carpet.
Anything else we do before we wrap it up at all? Talk about?
Nope. I just want to say there is no shortage of bubble wrap. Definitely not. No, I just want to thank everybody that's supported us through this journey. I know you have. I know Jasper, all the guys up in Michigan. You guys all be running our stuff this year. There's a lot of support for us, and there's a lot of hate for us. And I love the hating just because it makes me laugh. Just the sheer fact that people just don't want to see you do good, and that's discouraging because in the end of the day, you should care about what you're giving to the people more than you're giving to companies out there, and seeing people always do good. And that's why, that's our philosophy with this company. We just want to see people do good. I don't care what you run. You could come to my event and run something else. I could care absolutely less. Doesn't affect me at all. And I just want to see people racing. I want to see people do good and be happy. Like I said, drag racing can be either a great sport or it can be a depressing sport, depending on how good your luck is throughout the year. Everybody's had bad luck. Jasper's had bad luck. It's the way of life. But if we can give something back that helps you and benefits you and makes you happy, that's all I care about at the end of the day. And, we get support all over the world. Like I said, almost 200 dealers now. I got 2 in Canada, 1 in Sweden, and 1 in Guam. And that says something to, how much we've grown in 3 years of doing this. It's absolutely insane. And I just can't thank everybody who's been along this journey, who's made it possible for us to be along this journey. And, we hope to continue this journey and keep bringing a better product out every single year. There's a lot of people who don't know that, we're always constantly testing and we're always changing. Even though a lot of people don't know about it, we change a lot of our stuff, throughout the year if we find something better that works. And I think that speaks volumes for a lot of these bigger companies, because they'll just go and make a single product and they'll just keep using it, and they don't ever change anything with it.
Are you number one?
So, and that's the biggest thing with us is, we cater to everybody and we make it specifically for what you're going to be using it for at the end of the day, and your temperature, climate, wherever you're going, etc. So that's about the biggest thing I can say, and I just thank everybody for it, and it's gonna be a heck of a ride for sure.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate you. We're going to be at the events that we go to. We'll be selling stripper glitter as well at our tent. You'll see the big stripper glitter on the top of the tent along with our logo on it. So the events that we're at, we'll always have stripper glitter available there. Somebody is asking if it's Kentucky Cash Days, if you were coming. I said, if he's not there, we'll have it. So either way, you can find it.
Yeah, if not, if I won't be there, I know I have a dealer down there that's local to the track. He'll be down there, and obviously you, and there'll probably be a couple other people there. I don't think you'll have a hard time finding it. I may come down and just hang out and watch racing and stuff, and
Good time.
be there just for the action, just kind of just watch. That's the cool thing I like. If we go out, if I can go and sell an event, like sweet, but if I want to just go and hang out and stuff, like I'll do that at the end of the day. So I might make it down there. I'm not 100% on my schedule. We got a pretty crazy schedule already for this year, and between we got I think now 8 events to do here in Ohio this year. It's gonna be a little crazy.
For sure. I got a couple different crews in different parts of the country, and so we're trying to spread out a little bit, and so it's going to be a crazy year for sure. So a lot more events. I've noticed the calendar got pretty packed this year.
Yeah, and that's a good and that's a bad thing.
A good and a bad thing, exactly.
That's the biggest thing is it's new promoters pop up every single week, and it makes it incredibly hard to schedule a race these days because a lot of people just schedule on top of each other and don't understand the risk in doing that and hurting both parties. And
Sure.
and we did a very good job here in Ohio this year for keeping our schedules pretty tight with each other, and there's a couple of dates that conflict with ours, but hey, whatever, it happens. But it just
I know it's hard. It is. I scheduled my event to Double Chaos. I try to pick a date that has no other events going on at all. When we scheduled our basically one big event I'm doing for this year, but it's so hard not to step on somebody else's toes and not purposely,
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Like I get mad when somebody ends up throwing an event on us, especially if you hadn't been out for a couple months. Like that's why we're all in a group chat together, and we all conversate with each other, before PRI. Like, hey, we're gonna have our date this day. Hey, we're gonna have our event this day. This is our schedule for the year. See if it coincides with your schedule. It's just a lot of people there are a lot of promoters out there, all over the place. Doesn't matter where they are that need to take a step back and do stuff like that because it can definitely it helps everybody out in the end. You're only hurting yourself.
For sure, definitely. I'll talk with you guys next year. So
yeah,
same page as you guys, and you guys are doing your group one as well too, as far as I understand, like a series or something.
We have 5. We have more than that. So, April 30th is our first race at Dragway 42 in West Salem, Ohio. That's a back of the track event. Okay. That'll be the first event of the year for us. And then we have, let me throw my calendar up since you asked that. I didn't expect you to ask me that, but here we are.
I didn't mean to hit you off the side, but I thought promote your races, and things like that.
No, that's great.
You.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. Like I was going to talk about that at another time. So, and what's different from us is we cater to a lot of different events. So, we don't just do no prep events. So like, for instance, June 10th, we're having a roll race event. Yes, I know, roll racing. Everybody's going to say, oh, my God, you do roll racing. Roll racing's gay. I don't care. I'll go out and go roll race 100, 200 mile an hour on the street. I don't care. I ain't scared. I've done it. And it's at Dragway 42 as well in West Salem, Ohio. It's our first ever roll race event we've ever done. We have a lot of knowledge doing roll race events because we worked for Streetcar Takeover for many years. So we know the platform, how to do it, the classes, stuff like that, everything that works. June 18th is our first event at 10 Jim's Dragway in Magnolia, Ohio, which is our facility. And that's No Prep Mania 6.0. That is actually one of the World Series of No Prep races for Josh Robinson's race series that he's doing throughout Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Detroit this year. And it's basically a big traveling no prep series event. So it'll be all for points. At the end of the last one, will be like a big, I don't exactly know what he's doing for that for the end of the year deal, but basically it's a big race where you acquire points for as much as you, if you go to the race, if you make it first round, second round, etc. Then I have not added this event yet because we've actually not came up with a name yet. July 8th is a no prep race at Thompson Dragway. Thompson Dragway is up in like the northeast part of Ohio. It's basically up in the snow belt. The track closed at the end of last year because the guy that was running the track, he was done with it for the year. He was done with it forever. And some new owners of a truck company came in and bought the place. And everybody was like, you should do a no prep at Thompson. You should do prep. Apparently, and that's back. Well, a lot of people don't know is that's one of the first tracks that opened in Ohio. It's a very cool facility. They actually have a bridge that goes across the starting line that you can stand on and watch the racing. So there's like you can stand up on the bridge and like bet on cars, or you can stand on the starting line and bet on cars. It's pretty neat place. So July 8th, we're going to do a no prep there. I don't have all the information yet as far as that because we haven't even got a name yet. Or July 9th, I'm sorry. July 9th. Did I say July 8th? Yeah, July 9th. Then August 20th is our next no prep Mania 6.5, which is at Jim's Dragway in Magnolia, Ohio. And that's our banger event of the year that we do. We usually do one event, first of the year, then we'll do a second event as like the kickoff year for the year. October, and then we're doing a 3-day race in October. October 7th, we're going to do a roll race event at Dragway 42, West Salem, Ohio. On October 8th will be the last back of the track event at Dragway 42. And then on Sunday, we worked with Big 3 Racing, which is one of our sponsors, and they do a prep track rental on Sunday for a lot of their customers, and a lot of people want to come out and get some testing done on a prep surface. So that'll be a prepped race, and then we're going to have like 3 or 4 shootout races we have every year, and Big 3 always donates a couple $100 to each class, whether it be a gift certificate to the shop itself or in terms of product or gift certificates to products. And yes, the track is prepped with glitter that day.
That's important.
Yes. Big instance. Track is prepped with glitter. So we got a pretty busy year for as far as our events. And then I'm also I'll be going out to Indiana, I think 6 times this year to go flag the big end banger races for the Mid-America Customs guys for
nice.
Muncie Dragway.
Awesome.
So I'll be driving out to Indiana 6 times this year. I think I got another race to flag for Josh Robinson for his race at Uncaged. So between all that, trying to go into some of these races, to go and watch is extremely hard for us because we're always into something. And it seems like every time we get into enough, we're like, okay, we're done. We get dragged into something else and we just do it just because it's so much fun.
Actually, I had one last question referring to the compounds, if you don't mind. So do you sell it in the barrel, like 55-gallon drums for like tracks, for example, that want to do prep?
Yeah, so like we don't really promote it a whole lot just because the shipping and stuff like that is absolutely stupid. And we have a lot of people that reach out to us and ask us about that. Do we make a track prep formula? And we do make a track prep formula. We have a couple of tracks here in Ohio that's on our stuff, using our stuff, and have had great success with it. Like I said, the hardest part is just shipping it, just because we don't have a warehouse that's got a dock that you can back a truck up to and get it on a trailer and all this other. It's a lot of work to do. And a lot of these tracks we do a little transport too, and help everybody out, and it compared to some of these people that's selling track prep out there, like there's a lot of guys out there just getting stupid rich off of it, and that's not what we're about. And it's at the end of the day, like we want to help the tracks because maintaining a track is not easy. A lot of people will go out and be like, oh, hey, you should go out and buy a track. You know, what are you going to do? You just go out and watch cars all day run. No. That's not how this works. It is extremely stressful. It costs a lot of money. And at the end of the day, like if we're helping a track here local to us, you know, get product that's a good product it's substantially less than what they're getting from, say, another competitor. That's all we care about. We're not out to get rich off of it, like a lot of people are. And the cost to run a facility it's a lot. If you've never, you know, known somebody that's never ran a racetrack before, should definitely inquire about it, because it's crazy. That's why you see a lot of these small tracks closing, because they can't make up for it, you know, especially with the weather. You know, we've had some crazy weather over the last like 3 years, you know, early winters, you know, a lot of rain. And a lot of places can't survive, you know, off of little, you know, having a race once a week, once a month, stuff like that. And to help somebody with cost is a huge thing. Even if they save a couple $100, that's huge.
I would think if they can come pick it up or something, I'm sure you're some of the states around you or something like that. But
yeah, for sure. I mean,
you're not geared for it.
Yeah, no, we, you know, there's a lot of people that's inquired, you know, a couple states away, and I said, you know, I told them flat out, you know, if you want to come get it and get stuff, like, great, let's do it. But, you know, we keep promoting what we have and keep selling it. Hopefully we can get to that point to where we can, you know, be shipping drums all over the freaking country. You know, that's a goal of ours to go. I mean, we've only been in the business 3 years. We're trying the best we can. That's all I can say. And we'll get there, definitely. I don't understand that question.
I don't get that either. But anyways,
I'm lost too.
I was gonna say, because it is 50 a gallon. I don't know what. I don't get that.
Anyways, well, thank you. I appreciate your time tonight, sharing and educating everybody. I hope everybody learned and got their questions asked and answered. And I think it was very educational for sure. And wish everybody the best of luck out there this year. Definitely support Chris. Stripper Glitter, and you find distributors all across the United States, in other countries. He has over 200 so far, and we're
almost there.
Almost there. He's close.
Almost there. If you're interested in the product, like I said, we have a website, www.stripperglittertc.com. Has our full line of all of our products, prep, all of our merchandise. I do all the shipping for all the merchandise and preps. So as long as I have it in stock, it goes out the very next morning. No matter what time it is, you could send me an order at midnight tonight, and it'll be out ready to go for first thing in the morning. Just because I like working, and I like getting stuff. You know, you order something and you're, you know, waiting days for it to finally ship out, and I don't believe in that. If you have it, like, get it out. That's at the end of the day, people want their stuff. So find us on Facebook, Stripper Glitter Trash and Compound, Instagram, Stripper Glitter TC, and on YouTube, Stripper Glitter Trash and Compound. We have our own YouTube channel. Has a lot of videos from a lot of the local races here in Ohio, and our own races too.
Nice.
What's up, Happy?
So if they want to become a dealer, where do they go, or fill out any forms for that or anything?
Yep. So if you go to stripperglittertc.com and go to the contact form, I have a brief description in there, basically, you know, inquiring of how they want to become a dealer. I even say it in the same thing. You know, a lot of people don't include their location, and then you have to go back and forth in email to find out where they're at. And if you tell me your location of where you live and stuff like that, your city and state, like, it makes emailing a lot easier, and it's just less going back and forth with people. But there's a contact form on there to inquire about it, but you can also direct message us too on any of the platforms as well, and we can definitely help you out either way.
Do you have a lot of distributors out west as well too?
I have quite a bit. California is definitely starting to get up there now. Like, I think we only had one dealer there for a while, and I think I picked up about 6 or 7 over the course of last year. Okay. But there's some states out there that I don't have. You know, there's only like maybe 1 or 2 dealers around, and I definitely would like to have more. I think I almost have every state covered except for like maybe 2. It's just very like you don't expect there's any racing going on, you know.
What kind of
So-
states were you looking to expand into?
Definitely out west a little bit more, like Nevada, Arizona. I don't know if there's much in Utah, or if there's any Utah racing at all. Montana, I don't like. It's another one. I don't know if there's anything in Montana.
Canada, eh?
Canada, definitely. Canada is. I have 2 dealers in Canada. It's been incredibly hard to get it to Canada because of all the border crap that's going on, you know, with COVID and stuff. And I'm still working on things to be able to ship to Canada. It's just been a crazy process of trying to get it up there the easiest way possible without getting absolutely raked in shipping charges. Like for instance, I just shipped I think 2 shirts to Australia, and I got worried because somebody told me that they weren't allowing shipments from the United States because they were so locked down with COVID. But shipping 2 shirts to Australia, the cheapest way I could ever find was like $100. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, I understand like going, you know, across the ocean. Okay, whatever. It's $100. But like shipping to Canada is like almost almost 3/4 of that. I'm like, the border's right there. Like, it can't be. I don't know. It's just the process of how they do it, and it's annoying. Canada, get your shit together is all I gotta say.
Yeah, definitely go to border.
So that people can get their stuff, because I get asked all the time, "Hey, can you ship to Canada? Hey, can you ship to Canada?" And like, I don't have it allowed down on my website right now because I just don't have it set up properly. But like, I'll go and I'll try to inquire out, you know, off the website to see if I can get somebody something, because I hate turning people away. But it's just it's a hassle. That's all I gotta say.
Do you ship to Puerto Rico and things like that as well too? If people ask.
No, I do not. I try to stay within the 48 states. A lot of these guys have third-party shipping companies, and they'll inquire out to them and then get the product to them. That's how my Sweden dealer is. He's got a shipping company down in Florida, and they do like a third-party deal. And that's how my one Canada dealer is too. She has a shipping company in Montana, and then the shipping company in Montana brings this product over the border to her. It makes life a lot easier. I guess it's a lot cheaper that way. So if you're in another country or whatever, and you get your hands on, you know, getting close with a shipping company, you know, in the United States off the coast or something like that, that's the best way I can describe it. That's how my newest dealer in Guam is doing it. He ships the product to California, and then a shipping party in California ships it to him in Guam. I have an order of banners coming in right now. They're supposed to be here this week. So as soon as I get them in, the day that I get them, they'll be on the website.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been extremely informative, and thank you much for your time as well.
Yeah,
we appreciate you. I hope this is educational. We're here trying to do our Tech Sundays to help educate people in all different facets of no prep racing and drag racing in general and street racing. So thank you again for your time. I'm sure we'll have you back again in one of the shows.
I'm down. Let's have fun.
Definitely.
Good seeing you, Jasper.
You can just wave.
Oh, yeah, Chris. I forgot to push the button again.
They're having a good time over there.
Yeah, I want to be there. It sounds like a party.
Yeah, all right. All righty. So, well, you guys all take care. Have a good night, everybody. And we will see you all later.
Thank you, everybody.